Hey there folks, it's me Malorian, and this is going to be a video all about Nemo 4. Not about like the rules of Nemo 4 and how the model works, but more so just about converting it and building it, because as you can see right here, I got my Nemo 4. I was one of the first ones to pre-order it at our local store, so I got the first one that came in, and I am jazzed about this model. I mean, I am a Merc player and I'm a Cygnar player, so this is a model that works for both and will be fantastic and won't be super disappointing like Kane 3 was. So I can't wait to build this, but I got some ideas. So the first thing here is looking at the model. You get Nemo 4, which is this orb. It's like a floaty little silly thing that has like little flippers going behind it, and it has this little unit of buddies. Now, the unit of buddies, I'm not going to care about them. They can be just some mechanic people that follow me around. But the thing is that I have this extra kit, and I would love to convert it with this one here, because the flipper thing, it's okay, it can float around, but I kind of feel like this isn't impressive enough. You know, if this thing's walking around, it's basically the fourth version of a caster that should be amazingly powerful, and looking at this, it's like, it really does feel like Squire 2 as opposed to Nemo 4. So luckily for me, I have a third Storm Strider. I already have my two Storm Striders that I normally would be using in a regular game, and then I won another one. So I might as well go and use it for something. I've been holding on to it for a long time, and I think this is it. I really wanted to put those cool legs on something. I didn't know if it was going to be on a blockader or what, but now this is going to be perfect. So first thing I had to do for this conversion is really build Nemo 4. So I had to take all the pieces out. There were some big chunks of resin I was going to have to deal with, but I was really happy to see that as far as this part goes, it was very simple. Like Nemo 4 as is just like a central piece, a top and a bottom, 3 stacks on top, and the 2 flippers. So building it will be super easy. Oh, I did get the large base, but I also didn't get the flying part. So there's supposed to be a part in this, I assume, that allows you to attach Nemo 4 to the base and is like a flying stand. I did not get that. So it's kind of like fate driven that I'm going to be doing this conversion, because otherwise I'd be stuck waiting until I got that replacement part. So first thing I had to do is cut off all that extra resin, put together the main body, went together very, very simple. If you look at it from the right angles, yes, you can see there's some gaps and things like that. And so I could fill it. I'm not really interested in that. You know, if people are going to grab my conversion and look up from the bottom, sure, let them. I mean, I don't care about that. If that's where the gaps are hiding, it really is no big deal. So putting this together, first part, really easy, really straightforward. After that, I realized I totally forgot about the stacks. I kind of wondered, if you remember the Storm Strider, it has this little part that goes over the ball. And so I was wondering if I should actually not use these little Tesla coils, but instead put in the ones that come with the Storm Strider. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit more impressive, but putting on the little arc there, the little arch rather, didn't really fit right onto the model, and I could cut off the little Tesla coils from the Storm Strider, but again, I don't know, because it's going onto this rounded body, cutting at an angle like that, I don't know if it would work all that well, so I decided just to keep these ones here. Otherwise, I had to build the legs from the Storm Strider, very, very easy. Little bit there of the flashing connecting parts between like the toe and like kind of like that electrical armor type piece, but otherwise, very, very straightforward. And then I had to deal with the flippers and what I was going to be doing with the legs. Now, I have two options here. One, where the flippers would normally go in, I could just be putting the legs in there. And by the way, I'm not going to be using the flippers as flippers. I have a different idea for them. So they're not going to be coming in at this point. I don't really think that legs with flippers will look well. So that's not going to be there. But what I need to know is either I had to put in my legs going where the flippers normally went, or I could go and put the connective piece, you see it there at the bottom, that normally the Storm Strider legs go into, and put that at the bottom of the whole thing. I don't really, when I tried placing it myself, it really didn't fit very well. It really didn't look very good and very impressive. And really, too, if I had those at the bottom, those little spots there, the slots where the flippers normally go in, I mean, either I could have to, like, the flippers going forward as, like, tiny arms that wouldn't reach anything like T-Rexes, or I'd need to fill them in. So after playing around, and that's the real thing to do when you're doing these conversions, is play around and figure out what it's going to look like before you dedicate. After I played around with it, it's like holding it in my hands and seeing where things would meet. It was like, no, putting it at the very bottom was not going to meet my needs. It was not going to make it look the way I wanted to. I need those legs to go directly into where those flippers normally go. So what I'm going to do that is actually go and take green stuff. So I took my green stuff, I molded it, I got it inside that hole, and really it's going to be very simple to put them in there. Now, to keep in mind, when you do this green stuff, it takes a long time to harden. So don't expect that you're going to like mash it up and it's going to be ready to go after like 10 minutes. It's going to take days until it's very hard. So keep that in mind. So with that pushed in there, I then started putting in the legs, trying to more decide exactly where I want the positioning. I do have to keep in mind that I have to do that with all the legs to make sure everything matches up, but I really want to get that impression in there and then let it harden so that after it's all hardened, I can put the legs in after. And as you can see here, it's still going to have that perfect like square where you're wanting things to slot in. So that's going to be really good. But at the same time, another thing I wanted to do is I want these metal legs to rest at least partially on the hard plastic. And that's because, like I said, this stuff is not magic. It's not going to get super hard like concrete for a very, very long time. And so if I can make it so when it's upside down, the legs will be glued to the base so they're sturdy. And then wherever it touches the model, that's going to be kind of bracing it up. And it's not going to be one of those things like you saw like the old witch with like the bad resin, where it's like going to go like and like tilt over. You don't want that. So anywhere I can have hard metal on hard resin, that's perfect, going around it with the green stuff. But otherwise, yeah, at this point here, the main thing is trying to figure out where I wanted the legs to go. So once I did that, I started playing with the front and the back. The way I decided I wanted this to do this is that on one side, there'd be two legs on the ground. And then on the other side, I was going to have one on the ground, one kind of like pushing forward. And it really took a lot of time to try and play with this and figure out where I wanted to go. And of course, every time I make a major change, I got to really kind of like push the green stuff back in. So it's going to be really supporting. Unfortunately for me, when I had actually found like this is it, this is what I want to do, I also found that then I had myself too wide for the huge base. So not only do you need to make sure everything lines up so it looks good and that you're going to be having 3 solid anchors on the ground, also make sure you actually fit on the base the way they're going to need to. So the next thing I had to deal with was these flippers. So first thing I had to do was cut off the little indent on the inside because where I was going to put them, they're going to be in the way. And then I put them on here. So basically, I'm going to be putting these on either side of the mouth, the gate here at the front. And so the idea is if you can kind of think of a spider and has those 2 mandibles coming in from either side, that's what I want this to kind of look like, right? So they're not T-Rex arms way in the back. They're not whale flippers, which are trying to make it levitate somehow. These are things that are like weapons. It's going to use them to like bite or something. So that's the effect and what I'm hoping to get from it. And having it now actually like protruding out from the front actually now gives it that feel. So when I have both on there, that's where you can kind of see this coming on. And others have mentioned this too, but I love that angry middle eye, the way that they put that armor on there. So it's like, I'm angry. And the other thing I like too is like for the spider effect, this thing has like 7 eyes basically, because it's its main one and then 3 on either side. So that's pretty cool. And I'm loving the way this is coming together. So at this point here, I have the green stuff done at the bottom. I have these little mandibles being put on. And at this point here, I'm really just needing to wait to try and make sure that everything gets solid so that I can really brace it up. So this is actually that point where I tried putting things onto the base. So I had measured before, try to figure out where I need them now. Now I'm actually going to be gluing it to the base, and you can kind of see it underneath. He's just black, so you can't really see it very well in the black base, but I have wrong eye down there, kind of like propping it up temporarily. I'm going to be propping it up with wood after, but just some things where, again, I said, it's that green stuff is not like cement. It's going to be like weak and bending down if I didn't have something supporting it. So while I was trying to get this perfectly on the base, I just had something underneath it to give that extra support. After that, the main thing was really to then just prop it up with wood and then wait. So at this point here, like I said, it's glued to the base. It's resting on there so that there's the metal going right to the resin, and then it's propped up with the wood, and then it's just a matter of waiting for that green stuff. And you know, as much as I want to jump on this, and as much as I really wanted to play with this right away, I wanted to give at least 48 hours for it to really get hard before I started taking the wood away and playing with it. And one of the things too is, I mean, remember at this point here, you're not 100% locked in. You know, there's still a little bit of give. You can still realign and make things the way you want it to be, but otherwise, there's going to be my conversion. So the next thing I have here is just me kind of showing it rotating it around. This is where I've waited the 48 hours. It's now fairly stiff. You know, if I went and go and push my nail into the green stuff, I can still make an indent, but it's still now strong enough to be holding itself. I'm still going to be giving it a few more days, I think, just to really get hard before I go and, you know, prime it and paint it. But I love this. I think that Nemo 4 is going to be a huge model coming into my mercenaries and my Signar. I'm going to be using it a lot. I have a lot of list ideas with playing with it. I don't know if in the end it's going to be the most competitive, because you're kind of locked into a shooty version, and if you're ever seeing anything that's anti-shooting, you're in trouble. But he also does a lot of very cool things. So I'll be doing a separate video talking about Nemo 4, probably after I get in like 10 games or something with it. But there you go. There's my conversion. I'm loving it, and I hope you liked watching it. So thanks for watching. Bye.